Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Keys of the Castle podcast. Today, we're going to keep on continuing our series on Disneyland ride This or That Would You Rather roulette matchup. So let's do it on the most recent episode of Pirates of the Caribbean versus Peter Pan. I went ahead and announced the next matchup, which is this one. So it's going to be Space Mountain versus Rise of the Resistance. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm going to probably take this as an opportunity to talk a lot about Rise of the Resistance. And yeah, just do it in a this or that type of way. So, man, I'm not sure if I should drop bombs on Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, but maybe I should. Maybe I'll just go ahead and do it. So, yeah, let's do it. So Space Mountain versus Rise of the Resistance. Man, on the last episode, I kind of ruined this episode already, just by saying I think most people would choose Rise of the Resistance over Space Mountain, and that's kind of an easy choice. I think what would be like a crazier matchup would be like Rise of the Resistance as the seeing as it's the, basically newest and latest and greatest Disney attraction sort of a thing. I know it's not literally the latest one, but, it's a pretty insane ride and pretty insane attraction, if I'm honest. And what would be crazy would be to do a matchup between that and something classic like Pirates of the Caribbean. I feel like that would really, be very controversial and cause some good conversation. And so maybe that could be another matchup. I feel like a lot of people would choose between that matchup, Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who would choose Rise of the Resistance. I feel like it would be a pretty close, like 50-50 split. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked to see. Maybe I'll do a poll on Instagram or something like that and see. I'll have to do some sort of survey and see what people would choose. But in today's matchup, that's not the case. It's just going to be Space Mountain versus Rise of the Resistance. For me, myself, I think it would be pretty easy for me to choose Rise of the Resistance if I'm just there at Disneyland for a day and it's like a 1 day per year kind of a trip. So yeah, I think though the exception could happen though, because I have been on Rise of the Resistance quite a lot of times, and it's been a long time in the past year or two that I haven't been going to Disneyland as much as I did in prior years. So I definitely do have this feeling of like missing Space Mountain, and I think I've done Rise of the Resistance a lot more in recent years. So I think if I did, I'll just go ahead and do it as just to be controversial and as a hot take route again. I think I'm going to choose Space Mountain. Realistically, let's be honest, it probably wouldn't happen that way. If it were realistic, I'd probably choose Rise of the Resistance. But I can also see how, depending on who's with me and what the situation is, if, there's people with me who have already been on Rise of the Resistance but never have been on Space Mountain, but they really want to try it out, then yeah, definitely 100% I would choose Space Mountain, because it's been a long time for me and it is a fun ride. And yeah, it would be that kind of special experience of almost like trying it for the first time again when you have someone with you who has never done it before. And then in terms of permanence, it's hard again because there are other Space Mountains out there. You've got Florida and you've got Paris, so I feel like there's plenty of other Space Mountains to choose from. I know the Disneyland Space Mountain is not an original attraction. It's not the original Space Mountain. I mean, the Florida version is the original Space Mountain, but I know the consensus from most people who are Walt Disney Worldians. The Walt Disney Worldians usually like just absolutely love the Disneyland version of Space Mountain. Like, I think they pretty easily say and are outspoken about the fact that it's way better. I will say I will say I do definitely have much more of an emotional connection actually to Space Mountain because of just like, you know, past memories with just friends and especially family. Like it's got such like a Space Mountain has such like a reputation and just so many memories in my family personally, as in like I have my own family now, but as in you know, my siblings and parents and things like that. So definitely the emotional connection and nostalgia is way stronger with Space Mountain. It's definitely like a good, I suppose, hot topic, I guess, if you want to put it that way, in my family. Like I just feel like if anyone brings that right up, like it's just instant laughs and happiness. But anywho's, Rise of the Resistance is a pretty cool ride. It's very impressive, of course. I think most people would just automatically choose that ride just to sheer size and, you know, effects and everything in that ride. And I think just overall it's a more entertaining ride. It's got different aspects to it that just far outweigh Space Mountain. So it's got the different aspects of the ride. So just a spoiler alert here, you can skip this or turn the episode off if you've not been on Rise of the Resistance before and are trying to save it for a your first time experience. But Rise of the Resistance has got drops. It's got the drop. It's got the, you know, excitement and thrill. It's also got the classic Disney ride type of vibe. If you want to call it like a dark ride type of a ride. It's got the great special effects. Like just the sheer size of it is insane. And then also the queue is so good. So if I can just brag on Star Wars Rise of the Resistance ride really quick. The queue is incredible. And actually, it's kind of crazy to say, but I almost, like when I think about it, when I think about riding that ride, I almost get more excited or equally as excited about the line and the queue than the actual ride. That's so crazy, I know. And that's not even including the pre-shows. Like for whatever reason, the queue is just, it's so good to me. And it's weird because it's so simple, like the majority of it at least. So, you know, if the line's pretty long and extends pretty far out to like the front wait time signage, it's just an outdoor queue. You know, it's got just like plants and then like the rock work on the walls and all that stuff. But it's just so cool. I like it so much. The fact that they have like some seating and benches in there to sit on while you wait is really incredible. And like they put the perfect amount of, you know, seating, I think, in there. I think any more, and it would be just kind of, I don't know, it would kind of ruin the line experience, and potentially just sitting there the whole time and make it kind of just like an awkward vibe. It would kind of ruin the I guess like experience and the realism, I suppose, of the ride and the attraction and the theming. And the vibe. So I think that's great. I thought it was genius that they had the, you know, seating type of benches that you can sit in there, and all that. I will say though, and then also after that portion of the queue, you have like the where you can see like the uniforms and like the props, and one of the coolest parts to me is like the guns. They just look so cool and so realistic. Kind of, they look like real guns though. Like they don't even look like Star Wars space guns. They just look like actual guns. So anyway, that's all really cool. Would be kind of cool if they had, if they added in more like Star Warsy stuff, like some freaking lightsaber props and like, I don't know, like outer space type of guns, like laser gun type of things. Maybe they do have that in there. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't noticed. But yeah, so that all is cool. And then the pre-show, the concept of the pre-shows is cool, but and again, like it's crazy, but for some reason, the part of the pre-show that I actually enjoy more between the two sections. So spoiler alert again, there's the two sections of the pre-show. Well, I guess there's kind of 4 sections really, because you have the part with Rey, and then where she's like on the hologram thing, whatever. You have that part, and then you have the part with I don't remember his name. I'm blanking on the name, but basically where you're actually going in the spaceship and everybody is standing, and that whole bit. And then you have the stormtrooper room when you're actually on the, is it supposed to be like the space shuttle, spaceship, the freaking Death Star? I don't even know. It's kind of confusing. I should know these things probably. Especially that my daughter is born on Star Wars Day. But anyway, so yeah, there's really, so those are 3. So Rey, the pre-show like ride where you're standing in the ride, and then you have the stormtrooper room where there's the, you know, big platoon of stormtroopers standing in formation there, and then you have the like prisoner cell or whatever. So there's really 4 areas, I think, and at least off the top of my head, and in my head, you have the 4 areas of the pre-show for Rise of the Resistance. And yeah, I'm not even including that in the queue. I think my favorite part of all that is just the part where Rey is the hologram or whatever. So that's my favorite part. I know most people, their favorite part is the stormtroopers. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about Rise of the Resistance and that stormtrooper part. Yeah, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I have a problem. But I just feel like it could have been done so much better. It feels like conceptually it was a little bit rushed. Some of the concepts of the ride and stuff like that, I feel like could have been much better. But that's okay. It's still a fun ride. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like stormtroopers are cool. I think the coolest part of that room is actually behind the stormtroopers, like the view out into space. I think it would have been cool to kind of highlight that more so. I think it actually would have been cooler to have like character stormtroopers in the ride, like as cast members, I guess, like actually walking around and doing stuff like that would have felt really real. Maybe that would have just scared little kids too much, but I think that would have been much more realistic. And like if you took away the stormtroopers and just zoomed in more into that whole gigantic wall that looks like you're freaking in outer space, which is freaking epic. It's literally epic. I think if you did that, so it actually looked like you're out in outer space, and you can see that more clearly, and that just looks huge. It makes you feel really small, and that you're literally just a speck floating in the universe, and you can see that. And then mix that with actual stormtroopers, like a bunch of, like, you know, like maybe not even a bunch, but like a handful of stormtroopers, like just roaming around or posted up where they're actually moving and stuff like that, standing guard. They don't even have to like come after you or whatever, or like guide you like the cast members do. But I think that, I mean, come on, just for that section, that would have been really epic. I'm sure other people out there would have even better ideas. But yeah, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance then. There's a couple other things too. Maybe I'll just do a short episode on Rise of the Resistance itself. But anyway, for this matchup, I think that's going to do it. So Rise of the Resistance versus Space Mountain versus Rise of the Resistance. If I had to choose one to ride just for one day, if I'm visiting Disneyland once a year, would I choose Space Mountain or Rise of the Resistance? I'm gonna take the easy route and say it just depends, but I wouldn't mind going on Space Mountain instead of Rise of the Resistance, I don't think. I think I've actually done that before, but anyway, as in done that on a trip where, like, I'm not an annual pass holder and go all the time, and it's just like a once-a-year trip. But I'm not sure. It's all the years in recent years mix up because I have had annual passes in somewhat recent years, and then also I've not had an annual pass and have just gone for just certain days throughout the year. So anyway, that's that. Definitely nostalgia and emotional wise, definitely have much more of a connection to Space Mountain. But if I had to choose one, I would definitely choose Rise of the Resistance. But man, it's a hard choice. Man, that would be a hard choice. And again, a more epic matchup would probably be something crazy like Pirates of the Caribbean or Haunted Mansion versus Rise of the Resistance. So maybe that'll be on a different episode. I don't know. That's too hard of a choice. So I don't even think I could shoulder that kind of conversation. But that's gonna do it. I think. I don't know if I answered the question of this or that for permanently removing one. I feel like it's just pretty obvious that, I think we would get rid of Space Mountain. If we had to choose between that and Rise of the Resistance, I think I would definitely choose to keep Rise of the Resistance. It's just more entertaining. Like, I'll make another episode of just talking about Rise of the Resistance, and that ride. But for this episode, that's going to do it. Pretty straightforward. Hopefully not too boring. But I did get to, talk a little bit about the rides, so that was fun. Anyway, thanks for listening if you have. And until next time, take care.